Spiritual Gumbo. Just gonna pick up where we left off the other day, and gonna try to make our way all the way into the greater part of Jacob's story and now his struggle. And before we carry on, I wanted to point out something about women and getting pregnant. And I'm not sure if people know this, but if a young lady's pH, whatever they call that, her acidity level, whatever, right, is off in her body, it can make it really difficult for her to conceive a child. Saying that, I'm not accusing Sarah, Rebecca, or Rachel of being wine bibbers, but if they were, it wouldn't surprise me. Having said that, our last message, our last time we were in on this, we were speaking on the fact that Esau felt ripped off, right? Felt like he had to kill his brother, but no, that he spoke what he wanted to do in his mind, and that it was carried, the words that he spoke to himself that he had spoken were carried to his mother. And this was an indication that, two things, one of two things, or both. One, his mind was read. Two, his physical body language was read. Or three, both of those things took place. Now, why this is so important is because sometimes we forget the commandments later, telling us, not to read a person's mind. Now, these are rules that are only given to us way after these things have already taken place. So we don't know the kind of company that was kept. Thank you very much. We're in the Genesis, chapter 23, verse 10. And Jacob went forth from the well of the oath, and departed into Haran, and came to a certain place, and slept there. For the sun had gone down, and he took one of the stones of the place, and put it at his head, and lay down to sleep in that place, and dreamed. And behold, a ladder fixed on the earth, whose top reached to heaven, and the angels of God ascended and descended upon it. And the Lord stood upon it, and said, I am the God of thy father Abraham, and the God of Isaac. Fear not, the land on which thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed, and thy seed shall be as the sand of the earth, and it shall spread abroad to the sea, and to the south, and to the north, and to the east. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the tribes of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with thee to preserve thee continually in all the way wherein thou shalt go. And I will bring thee to this land. For I will not desert thee until I have done all that I have said to thee. And Jacob awakened out of his sleep, and said, The Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid. And how fearful is this place? This is none other than the house of God, and that is the gate of heaven. And this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up in the morning, and took the stone, and he had laid there by his head, and set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on the top of it. And he called the name of that place the house of God. And the name of the city before it was Ulam Luz. And Jacob vowed a vow, saying, If the Lord God will be with me, and guard me throughout on this journey, on which I am going, and give me bread to eat, and raiment to put on, and bring me back in and bring me back in safety to the house of my father. Then shall the Lord be for a God to me. Stop right there. Did you notice how that whole thing took place? Did you note, number one, how he was scared when he got up? Okay, so what happened? There was a spectrum moment in this last part that I couldn't get to. We had so far into it. And it seems as if he may have come into a portal of one such, right? And there's no indication that he was laying on the same ground that he was on until he woke up. That's why it was a dream to him. But I don't know how to put it. Where he was at may have been like a location where in which an actual portal that was used regularly. Or the Messiah, the Lord, one who was calling himself God to these men to get their minds right, he has brought himself here to introduce himself to Jacob. Either one is fine with me. What is more amazing, do you hear Jacob's affirmation? He says, hey, look, if you roll with me and keep me safe, right, and feed me and keep clothes on my back throughout my journey and bring me back home to my father's house, he was like, then you will be my God, pretty much. Are you hearing that? Do you see that? See, this is why the Most High God is like, test the spirit. Because this is just the Messiah. And these men, only a wise man has the sensibility to test the spirit of whatever it is. Okay, if you're that powerful, if you're really the God of my fathers, you'll keep me safe like they were kept safe. And you'll do everything, and you'll do right by me. Let's go, carry on and go forward. Verse 21. And this stone, which I have set up for a pillar, shall be to me a house of God. And of all whatsoever thou shalt give me, I will tithe a tenth for thee. So do you understand this is where the tenth comes from? You've never heard it. You never really heard the real tithing of a tenth. But this is where the tenth of the tithe comes from. Verse 1 of chapter 29. And Jacob started and went to the land of the east to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, mother of Jacob and Esau. And he looks, and behold, a well in the plain. And there were there 3 flocks of sheep resting at it. For out of that well they watered the flocks, but there was a great stone at the mouth of the well. And there were all the flocks gathered. And they used to roll away the stone from the mouth of the well They used to roll away the stone from the mouth of the well and water the flocks, and set the stone again in its place on the mouth of the well. And Jacob said to them, Brethren, whence are ye? And they said, We are of Canaan. And he said to them, Know ye Laban, the son of Nahor? And they said, We do know him. And he said to them, Is he well? And they said, He is well. And behold, Rachel, his daughter, came with the sheep. And Jacob said, It is yet high day. It is not yet time that the flocks be gathered together. Water ye the flocks, and depart, and feed them. And they said, We shall not be able until the shepherds be gathered together, and they shall roll away the stone from the mouth of the well. Then we will water the flocks. While he was yet speaking to them, behold, Rachel, the daughter of Laban, came with her father's sheep, for she fed the sheep of her father. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, that Jacob came and rolled away the stone from the mouth of the well, and watered the sheep of Laban, and and watered the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and cried with a loud voice, and wept. And he told Rachel that he was the near relative of her father, and the son of Rebekah. And she ran and reported to her father according to these words. Stop right there. So, this is, I gotta paint this scene. This scene is, because it's a really intense, funny scene, but it's crazy. So, and these are just the customs that we like. These are part of the sensibilities. If you're trying to understand parts of an everyday life, note how he tells them it's not even time for you guys to be doing what you're doing. So feed your guys' flocks and then go away. And they're like, we can't even do that, bruh, because there's as it explains to us, there's a rock in the way in the mouth of the well. You know what I'm saying? That keeps it from overflowing and probably pushing out all the good water. Probably a living well, if I'm not mistaken. However, with that said, and that would mean that it's a well that has a fresh water source that comes to it, that flows through it. Which would be, obviously, as you guys read with Isaac, what he went through, the fighting that he went through, the striving that could have possibly gone down between the cattlemen of Abraham and Lot. You can picture what I'm saying. He at first he has no inclination of moving the rock. They're telling him that it's going to take all these shepherds to move it. Right? He sees Rachel. I'm guessing Rachel looks likened to his mother, because he gets really excited. Right on. Moves the rock out the way. Makes sure that she feeds her, she waters her flock and does what, what I'm saying? And they do what they do first. Tells her who he is, right? And then she goes back to her father, to tell him what's up. Now we're going to pick up. Verse 13. And it came to pass, when Laban heard the name of Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet him, and embraced and kissed him, and brought him into the house, and told Laban all these sayings. And Laban said to him, Thou art my bones, and of my flesh. And he was with him a full month of days. So what he's saying is that when Laban got to him and was talking to him, he's like, oh man, we're family, we're kin. Just starts to then he starts telling him everything probably, right? Things he probably would have never known about Abraham when they were first coming out of the land, when they were first migrating into the land, and how they migrated there and how they were able to get things going there. It's really epic, man. When you can really read what you're reading and appreciate it. Y'all, there's a lot going on, but we want to charge through this stuff because we want to be getting to the Exodus, coming into the latter part of March, if not coming into the full-blown end of the month of March. I don't want to charge through too much of the Genesis, but if we have to, we will. We'll do what we got to do. Verse 15. And Laban said to Jacob, Surely thou shalt not serve me for nothing, because thou art my brother. Thou art my brother. What? Thou art my brother. He's saying that we're brother or kinsmen of the tribe. Thank you. Tell me, and it's the same kind of concept that when people consider Lot and Lot and Abraham brothers, right on, or it's written like that, how if for some odd reason they say brother to him, but it's because they're of the same tribe, they're of the same kin. These people are kings and queens. You do realize that, right? And before we end out today, I wanted you to know that when your true brothers and sisters say that you come from kings and queens, they must, I don't know if they know this, but we come from literal kings and queens by the loins of the people who were actually the kings and the queens. So everyone couldn't have been a king and a queen, right? But your actual progeny, the people you come from, were kings and queens, yo. Appreciate that. Appreciate that you come from a royal bloodline. So even if people became regular basic people, those people were descendants from a royal bloodline. Can you dig that? Appreciate the game, yo. We're going to keep reading and we're going to finish out in a second. And notice how he tells Jacob, you're not going to serve me for nothing. So he's trying to go, I'm going to put you on. That's what he's saying. I'm going to put you all the way in there. Now here we go. Verse 16. Now Laban, let's finish verse 15. And Laban said to Jacob, surely thou shalt not serve me for nothing, because thou art my brother. Tell me what thy reward is to be. Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger Rachel. And the eyes of Leah were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in appearance and exceedingly fair in countenance. Listen, so that means that her overall, everything that she's a full body, beautiful faced woman. And it's saying that Leah is, when it says that Leah, when it says that and the eyes of Leah were weak, pretty much he's saying like, looking at her, she's alright, but you know what I mean? And maybe she doesn't have good eyes. You feel me? Like maybe she got like a lazy eye. Let me not diss her, but that could also be one of the indications that he's like, I'm not trying to mess with this lazy eye chick, man. I want the fine one. You know how people are acting up, but going forth as we read and we get ready to finish out. When we get to this last part, verse 18. And Jacob loved Rachel. What? And said, I will serve thee 7 years for the younger daughter Rachel. And Laban said to him, It is better that I should give her to thee, than that I should give her to another man. Dwell with me. And Jacob served for Rachel 7 years, and they were before him as a few days, by reason of his loving her. And Jacob said to Laban, Give me my wife, and my days are fulfilled, that I may go unto her. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place, and made a marriage feast. And it was even, and he took his daughter Leah, and brought her into Jacob, and Jacob went unto her. And Laban gave to his daughter Leah Zilpah, his handmaid, as a handmaid for her. And it was morning, and behold, it was Leah. And Jacob said to Laban, What is it that thou hast done to me? I did not serve thee. Did I not serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore hast thou deceived me? And Laban answered, It is not done thus in our country, to give the younger daughter before the elder. Fulfill then her sevens, and I will give to thee her also in return for thy labor, which thou laborest with me, yet 7 other years. And Jacob did so, and fulfilled her sevens. And Laban gave him his daughter Rachel to wife. And Laban gave to his daughter his handmaid Bala for a handmaid to her. And he went into Rachel, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. And he served him 7 other years. Verse 31. And when the Lord God saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. Stop right there. Before we end this out, this is going to go back into what I said about earlier. Do you know, it's not as if he wasn't laying down with Leah probably throughout the 7 years. I contend, just like women now, still to this very day, have a problem with alcohol. And some of those women are the very women who have a problem getting pregnant. Ooh, you guys should put the two together. I put money on it that these women were women who were drinking a whole bunch too. And while they were trying to get themselves right and being prayed for, their bodies are healing anyway. There's a physical, tangible effort that takes place for these things to happen. The Most High God allows for a person to feel stricken for it to take place. Maybe their body, maybe Leah doesn't stop drinking as much because she don't realize she's hated. But the Most High God opens her womb as you can see. So what is the causation of this outside of the fact that she's hated? What did Leah do in the meantime, in between time, that would have caused the Most High God to open up her womb outside of the fact that she was hated? These are small things to look at. And I'm not saying that alcoholism is the one thing that kept these women from getting pregnant, but you should consider it as a very strong contingent force as to why they had issues with getting pregnant. With that said, this is just a general lesson of the spiritual gumbo, because we're back into Syria now. Note that it's not the custom of the Syrian people to give the younger daughter first over the elder. So the elder must go first. So no matter what, he knew that he was going to give Jacob both daughters. That's neither here nor there. And he gave each one a handmaid to go. Anyway, the situation for Jacob to be able to lay with all these different women and give them all children and essentially make brothers and cousins out of all of his sons, right, was set up here in this very moment. And this is why I can contend the Syrian people, the Most High God was like, you're not to mix with them anymore. Because these sorts of things, the Most High God is like, I'm not cool with that. And we'll read about those things when we get to the rules. Right now we're not about the rules. We don't worry about that. Spiritual Gumbo, out.